Today we're going to look at how to calculate gradient. Gradient is essentially the slope of the land between 2 points. The formula for gradient is on the front of your reference table. Gradient is equal to the change in field value, which in this case is elevation, divided by the distance between the 2 points. The units for gradient will be whatever the field value is measured in divided by whatever the distance is measured in. For this map, we can see down at the bottom our distance is measured in miles, which means all of these elevations are going to be given in feet. If the distance is given in kilometers, the elevation would be in meters. So for all of these, our units are going to be feet per mile. So if we calculate the gradient between points A and B, the first thing we need to do is look at what is the field value for A and for B. And I'm sorry, this printed out kind of not the best on my printer, but A is on this dark line here that's labeled 400, so we know that the elevation of A is 400. B is on this dark line labeled 300, so the elevation of B is 300. So change in field value, the value for A is 400, the value for B is 300. So 400 over 300 divided by, we need to find the distance between these 2 points. And we don't want to just use a ruler because this is a map. We want the actual distance between the real points A and B. So we're going to take a little piece of scrap paper and mark off where A is and where B is, and then bring this down to the scale at the bottom of the map and use our scale to figure out how far apart they are. And if we hold this up, it looks like it's a little over 4 miles, so maybe 4.1 miles. You're going to have to estimate if it's not right on the line. So elevation of A minus elevation of B divided by the distance from the scale, 4.1. And then we're just going to type that in. 400 minus 300 is 100 divided by 4.1 gives us 24.390239. This particular one asks us to round our answers to the nearest tenth. Now, A to B was not one of the examples that I'm having you do here, but we will round it to the nearest tenth. This gives us a gradient of 24.4 to the nearest 10 feet per mile. And we can do this between any 2 points. So if we wanted to find the gradient between B and C, C is not on a labeled line, which means we need to figure out what the contour interval is so that we get to determine what the elevation of C is. So to determine the contour interval, we know that this dark line here, which goes all the way over to here, is 300, and that this one is 400. And if we count the little lines in between, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 extra lines in between, which means that each one of these is counting by 20. So this would be 300, 320, 340, 360, 380, 400. So the contour interval is 20. So 300, 320, 340, 360, C would be 380. So to find the gradient between B and C, well, C is 380 minus B is still at 300 divided by, now we need to find the distance between B and C. So line up the paper, connecting the dots. Here's C, here's B. As I hold it up, looks like it's a little under the 3 miles, so 2.9 miles. And then just type in 380 minus 300, which gives us 80. Always do the bigger minus the smaller. Divided by the distance, 2.9, gives us to the nearest tenth, 27.6, and again the units would be feet per mile.